Yes, our topic today is about mixed method research. Before we can proceed with the presentation, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up in case the video was of good interest or helpful to you, and also share the video for caring to other people or colleagues or students. Give a comment or even a question for further engagement and discussion in case you have some questions that need to be answered. Yeah, in introduction, I want to emphasize or highlight to you that it is very important for you as a researcher or a student to identify appropriate research approach before you can start or commence with the project. This can happen with a proper conceptualization of your problem and phenomena under investigation or under study. A research approach entails the process of data collection, analysis, and interpretation. So this will help you to identify appropriate research approach as you start with your project. There are different kinds of research approaches, and currently the most popularly known are three, which is qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method. These are the three popular kinds of research approach currently known to most researchers. Quantitative research is popular with these three things: statistical data collection, mathematical techniques, counting and scaling of data. These are the main characteristics of quantitative research, and thus made quantitative research identifiable and because they characterize it. Qualitative research approach mostly focuses on narrated explanatory data, open-ended and unstructured questions in data collection tools. Mixed method research integrate statistical and narrated explanations data. So which means within the mixed method research, one will come across the narrated explanations or data and data in a form of statistics. What then is mixed method research? Mixed method research is the research approach dominated by equal application of both quantitative and qualitative approaches. And that is from the worldviews up to the end when the data is analyzed. The mixing in this kind of approach happens at all the stages of the research project. That is from the worldview, data collection, up until the data is analyzed at the end. Mixed method research. Why then mixed method research? Mixed method research started or was discovered for the first time in 1990s as the third methodology after qualitative and quantitative research approaches. So which means before this, we only had two different kinds of approaches, which is qualitative and quantitative. The mixed method research is based on abductive reasoning, which means it begins with an incomplete set of observations and proceed to the likeliest possible explanations for the set. And this is happen with the purpose to close gaps in qualitative inductive and quantitative deductive reasoning. So the purpose here, as I already explained, is to research complex subject areas or complex problem objectives and questions. This with the main aim to close gaps on both qualitative and quantitative methods, and to research interdisciplinary complex topic. So which means the mixed method research was not introduced with the nice to have, but the main purpose was to solve the bigger problem which mentioned here as under the purposes. To say, should your problem under your study be complex or difficult? Mixed method approach may be the major solution to your problem or challenge. There are confusions regarding mixed method, multi-method, and triangulation. And what are those? There is a bit of confusion pertaining to the three: mixed method, multi-method, and triangulation. But the difference can easily be explained. Triangulation, to me or to my understanding, is not an approach, but is a means of mixing for each of the two, mixed and multi-method. There are vast differences between the three, although the relationship is also included or not excluded. What are the great relationships then in all the three? So the relationship is that they all strive to minimize or eliminate biasness, limit weaknesses, and close data gaps. The three of them also assess the validity of the findings from alternative sources and can enrich and inform the findings. Those are the biggest relationships, although they may not be the only ones. Triangulation is a way of integrating methods and data. It also helps to incorporate, consolidate, compare, integrate, and both qualitative and quantitative data. So you can see when I go through the presentation, I provided some sources where consultation were made before the presentation. And due to time, I'm not going to talk to the citations, and they are projected for you to see where the information was found or collected. Triangulation may be applied for data collected through different tools. What are those tools? Questionnaire, interviews, observation, and document analysis. And these are not the only data collection methods or instruments that may be triangulated, but they are the most common ones, which we can use as an example. Triangulation also involves application of more than one research method in the study, and there is a reason for that. First reason is to cross-check data and close gaps to properly draw conclusions from the findings. And the other reason might be to provide enhanced study validity and strength in the study conclusion, so that the study is reliable. In triangulation, integrated methods of data collection should not share the same weaknesses or errors or biasness. This is because otherwise, if they share the same weaknesses or errors or biasness, it means there's no reason for triangulating. This is done in order to serve the purpose of increasing confidence on the results. So the main purpose of the two is to close gaps against each other. Triangulation can also be applied at different levels of research process, and that is the level of researchers, sometimes you find that the researcher appoint research assistants. Data from all those different assistants will be triangulated to conclude the findings. The triangulation may happen also at the paradigm level, at the approaches, methods, and analysis. Triangulation may also be applied in 3 different ways. That is at the level of data triangulation, which entails the use of more than one data source to ensure data accuracy. So at the investigator level, to obtain data from different investigators on the same phenomenon. That is how and what I already explained. The method triangulation may be applied when it comes to collecting data for assessment of the same phenomenon using more than one different method. The level of the study where triangulation can be applied depend on the researcher's requirements to validate the study findings. This shows that it is not just happen, it happens with a reason. So the researcher must have a reason for applying it at certain level of the study or the project. And triangulation provides for an aggregate comparison of data from both qualitative and quantitative technique. And the aim here is to compare whether they line up or support each other according to the sources as cited there. The need for triangulation may arise during or after the research planning. So which means it depends on when or the time when the researcher identified the needs or come across the challenge that need to be solved with triangulation. This is since some of gaps may be realized at the end and some may be realized towards the end of the study or during the data collection. This may be applied with the aim for getting additional techniques to cross-check the findings of the planned or already applied techniques. In multi-method research, researcher utilizes more than one method or style that are not same to conduct the same study. So this is how multi-method differ to the other elements of research or of multi-methods. Multi-method is a complementary method, and multi-method research is multiplicity of methods that enables the researcher to explore issues. So those are some of the reasons and may be also used as a definition for multi-method. As you can see from all the narrative, multi-method is unlike mixed method research, where the researcher combines variety of relevant methodologies. Then how do we then differentiate MMR to other research approaches like multi-method and single method or mono method? As you can see, as projected on the slide, number A, which is what I named mono method research approach, is a only single approach applied, be it quantitative or qualitative. Then that is a mono method research approach. Then we have the second one at B as labeled there, multi-method research. Multi-method research can also appear in 2 different ways, depending on which main method is dominant. So as explained in the brackets here, you can see I said many different kinds of methods running parallel in any way to validate dominant method, which means there's a method dominating here always, whether qualitative or quantitative. So if, in terms of qualitative multi-method research approach, many kinds of method is running parallel together in any way dominated by qualitative approach, which means this is opposite to quantitative multi-method research approach, in which many kinds of methods are running parallel together in any way dominated by the quantitative approach. This is multi-method. It can come in two different ways. So it's unlike the mixed method research, which does not have different categories. Mixed method research is only one key or main approach, which is a mixture of equal two approaches in equal quantity, which is qualitative and quantitative. In brackets there, let me read for you. It is more than one different kind of methods from qualitative and quantitative mixed equally together throughout the study. So this, in short, was, or in brief, was just to make you understand the difference between the three. It is also worth noting that most researchers are not yet recognizing multi-method as an approach, and they are still considering only quantitative, qualitative, and mixed method as the only three approaches. But to my understanding, multi-method is another new approach coming in place, which is not yet recognized by main or most researchers. Then let's look at the research paradigm. What is a research paradigm? Different researchers and theorists define research paradigm in different ways. You see there, Creswell define it as philosophical worldview, while Bryman see it as a cluster of beliefs and dictates. And we have Broughton and Millward, who see this it as a scientifically guides the researcher to what they must research on in their field of study. And it influences the approaches for researching and analysis of data. That is Bryman. I'm sorry, I gave you a wrong citation, but that was Bryman. And Broughton and Millward, they see paradigm as a worldview underlying the theories and methodologies of a particular scientific subject, leading to a particular way of looking at a given phenomenon. These are the different definition or description of a research paradigm from different researchers. But when you look at them and analyze them, you can see they are talking the same language. A research paradigm guide the researcher with the foundation of their investigation based on different epistemologies and ontologies. And then ontological worldview is the nature and existence of social reality, according to Ngulube 2015. And ontological worldview considers the nature of social entities, whether social entities can and should be considered objective entities that have reality external to the social actor, or whether they can and should be considered social construction built up from the perception and action of social actors. And that is Bryman's definition of ontological worldview. Then we move to epistemological worldview. Epistemological worldview, according to Creswell, is the branch of philosophy that studies the nature of knowledge, its assumption, and its validity. And then Gehring see it as the study of the nature and the origin of knowledge. And Ngulube 2015 see it as what constitute knowledge and ways of knowing. Epistemology, according to the all those researchers, Bryman, Karen, and Ngulube, it considers the need for the answer to the question of what is or should be regarded as acceptable knowledge in a discipline. It is the research method at the most general level, or the study of how we know things. That is Bernard, 2013. Then, how do we then describe or explain the worldview for mixed method research approach? As you can see, and as I said in the previous slides, mixing in the mixed method research happens at every level, and that is even at the level of the worldviews or paradigm. As you can see on the provided structure here, epistemology for the MMR is built from the quantitative positivism and qualitative interpretivism to form pragmatism as a worldview for MMR or mixed method research. And looking on the other side, ontological worldview was formed from the quantitative realism and qualitative constructivism to form pluralism as a worldview for mixed method research. Pragmatism epistemological worldview solve problem of dualism. This is solving the problem where we see two parallel paradigms applied to the mixed method, but instead they are integrated together to form pragmatism. It comprehends research methodologies and bring research continuum in the methodologies. Then pluralism ontological worldview include the usage of variety of approaches using triangulation for validity and reliability according to Ngulube 2020. And it closes gaps from single approach worldviews according to Ngulube 2015. Research design. What then is a research design? Research design is seen as a strategy or process of or plan or a procedure to which a researcher intends to follow in conducting the study. Here I provided the example of a mixed method research design, which I did not wanted to go into details of explaining, and this can be researched after the presentation. That is parallel mixed method design, convergent design, sequential explanatory research design, explanatory sequential design, embedded design, and multi-phase design. These may not be the only designs available or existing for mixed method research, but they are the most common ones which you can research further on them. Of course, throughout the study, you must consider studying ethical issues or considering ethical issues so that your study is valid, reliable, and trustworthy at the end with the results or findings and recommendations so that readers or users may apply them in their studies also as solution. What is then sampling? Sampling is a process of choosing participants out of the entire total population. That is with the purpose to save time, energy, and money. Those are the main reasons. Process of choosing members or subset of population. It is also another definition for sampling. And that is with the purpose to make numerical implications and predict the characteristics of the entire population. So here I provided example of sampling method for mixed method research. The first one, identical sampling, which has to do with same participants in each phase applied or involved. Parallel sampling is another example which has to do with different participants who share same characteristics. Remember here we are talking about mixing of sampling methods. And after the mixing, those particular methods change the name into these ones because they are mixed together. So it takes us back to the issue of avoiding dualism. Nested sampling is another example which has to do with sampling of methods in phase 2 that represents a subsample of sample in phase 1. So multi-level sampling has to do with samples which have different relationship with the phenomenon. This example is taken from Collins. And I believe they are not the only kinds of sampling methods existing for mixed method research. One may discover more from other sources or same sources. Mixed method sampling examples also goes on. We have a basic mixed method sampling. In brackets there, I gave example with purposive and stratified random sampling, which means the two may be mixed to form a basic mixed method sampling. Sequential mixed method sampling is another example in which quantitative and qualitative come together, and then the other example, quali and quanti, come together to form a sampling procedure throughout the social and behavioral science. Concurrent mixed method sampling. Probability sampling techniques are used to generate data for the quantitative strand, and non-probability sampling techniques are also used to generate data for the qualitative strand. And I give some examples in brackets there. Multi-level mixed method sampling applied when it comes to examining organization in which different units of analysis are nested within one another, answering questions related to 2 or more levels or units of analysis. In conclusion, I want to remind you that mixed method research, the choice of any research approach is not about the nice to have, but it is more about or based on the need and necessity. This takes us back to the examples that I was giving to say usually mixed method is applied when the problem under study is complex or the study is of an interdisciplinary nature with a complex objective, problem, purpose, and questions that need to thoroughly be answered. Oh, thank you. This is the end of my presentation. And before I say goodbye, I would like to remind you to give a thumbs up in case the video was helpful or of very good to you. And more importantly, don't forget to comment or post a question on the chat so that we can discuss and engage further. And share the video with your friends, your colleague, share with the same interest, more especially students and other lecturers. Then you can subscribe to the channel so that you can be provided or receive alert in case other videos becomes available of the same nature. Thank you and goodbye.